Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Taylor Jones. And do you have any idea what time it is? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Taylor Jones, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, TC Jones Edits, as well as welcome back to my YouTube series, Cold Man's Winter, Season 4. And for those that didn't watch my last video, which was the recent episode when it came to the story about Lenny and how he had to deal with being weak, dealing with weaknesses, especially when it came to the song What's New Pussycat by Tom Jones, which was a cursed song for the family. Don't worry, the link will be in the description bar down below. And also, if you're wondering what the deal is when it comes to a busy schedule, it's like you don't know who's stopping you. It's like you're being held back. And because of my father's concern, that means I have to step my game up, in which I'm going to do that right here, right now. So, for this episode, well, the topic is going to be like split up to three. That's right. Whenever you have a topic, you will have a prequel, the beginning of the story, which will lead to conflicts, just like the safe sex episode from season 3, when I had a two-part. But the third, part 3, it will be the conclusion, like where the drama starts to continue where it last left off. But anyway, with all that being said, this topic that I'm about to talk about is betrayal. Now, when it comes to betrayal, you think about how people can look upon you, turn their backs on you. As Chucky Booker once said, Turned Away. That was the song that he made back in 1989, and it's a powerful song because I even mentioned it on one of my old rant videos a couple years back. But instead of turning away from love, you're turning away from God. That's how I saw it. But betrayal is always looked upon in many different ways. So just know that when you are betrayed, or when someone felt betrayed because of you, you're going to have to know when to lay low and learn how to apologize. And if they don't want to accept your apology, just like the fact that for example, Travis Scott, he felt betrayed based on the fact that his so-called Astro World tour, his concert went completely downhill when some of the individuals in the crowd ended up dead, probably stomped or whatnot, and he tried to pay for the funerals. Like the family's like, no, heck no, we will not accept it. Now that's a kind of betrayal right there. And even Ray Charles, when he was banned from Georgia, and not only that, it took him almost 20 years to get himself back in order. And Georgia, the state of Georgia, asked for an apology and would like to welcome Ray Charles back home to Georgia, and named his song Georgia on My Mind the Georgia National Anthem, which is also a powerful move. But when it comes to being betrayed, like for instance, who's the first person I can think of when it comes to this topic? Like, how did this person handle being betrayed? Even though this may be fictional, but I'm trying to keep it real, because with a story like this, with a real person, I could think of one special person in mind, and that is my cousin-in-law, Mr. William or Willie Pringle. Now, who is Willie Pringle? How did he turn out to be betrayed? And how did he handle it? Well, right now, I'm going to give you the prequel, like the very beginning. Now, 1976, in Michigan, a young man by the name of William Xavier Pringle was born. He had been dealing with a lot of ups and downs throughout his life since childhood. His parents, they they raised him well to be successful. And when he went to middle and high school, he started to get the attention of staying on top of the game, staying on top of his education game, that is. Keep God first, especially when his parents tell him, in this house you live in, you are not going to do anything sinful, anything wicked. I don't want no cussing, I don't want no drugs, I don't want no sex, I don't want anything bad, because one false move will get you in trouble, whether whooping, whether grounded, or even when it means to mow the yard for a week. No need to call your friends, no need to hang out with your friends, because some friends can be bad influences. But let's just say that Willie had a calling. I mean, what did he do throughout the entire summer? Like in his summer breaks when he was young, like a kid. I mean, the first time he enjoyed having summer breaks was when he was reaching his teenage years. 1989, 13-year-old Willie Pringle making his summer more awesome, and he had a lot of friends that relied on him. Matter of fact, he had 3 friends, and those 3 friends were Mickey Willis, followed by Kyron Banks, and Jack, born as Jackson Orville, like Orville Redenbacher. But they actually were in the same grade together. 8th grade was going really smoothly for them, but in 1990, after middle school was over, they had to move on. All kids, 14 years old now, thinking about doing something in the summer. So in the summer of 1990, Willie asked the other 3 guys what they were going to do for the summer. Well, since some of them are not going to travel as much, they're probably going to think about studying a little early, buy some school gear, fresh pair of shoes like Adidas. And for instance, since Willie was from Michigan, let's just say that he found a summer job. He found a summer job by cleaning their neighbor's lawn, like mow the lawn, even rake, and try to get some money right. And let's just say that he gets $500 a month for doing that throughout the summer. But afterwards, he bought some of the money he bought. He went to a store, like a mall, and he bought which was hot at the time. Remember, this is 1990. What was hot at the time? Well, he brought an NBA jersey of his home state's team, NBA team, the bad boys of the NBA, the Detroit Pistons. A blue jersey with red letters that says Pistons. And he got number 4, Mr. Joe Dumars. While Kyron, he had Isaiah Zeke Thomas. Jack, he got the Dennis the Worm Rodman, number 10. Isaiah, number 11. Joe, number 4. Isaiah, 11. Dennis, 10. But what about, Mickey? Oh yeah, he got himself a jersey from the Detroit Pistons himself, but it was a white guy, number 40, Bill Laimbeer. So they dressed up as the Detroit Pistons, and they looked fresh to death, especially when it came to Fridays. Like every Friday, they're gonna have a Detroit Pistons Friday, because it's their favorite team. And they even had fresh gear, like not just the NBA jerseys, they had Nike tennis shoes, in which they bought with their own money based on all the hard work they put. It's like they treat themselves. But for 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 other ideas, they thought about making a rap group because they remember all the individuals who were bumping some funky sounds of hip hop, which was hot at the time. They decided they want to put up a group. So Willie was like, "I'm down with that, but the fact is, how can we make beats besides beatboxing and table thumping? We gotta have a spot to do that." So it was like at that very moment they decided to come up with nicknames. Starting with Kyron, he became K-Ron or Chronic, K-Ronic. Isn't that ironic? He named himself after the word chronic, but this is like before The Chronic was released by Dr. Dre in 1992. Jack became Slumberjack because, I don't know, he likes throwing slumber parties, but he also wears flannel clothes like the lumberjacks with the hat to match. And this is way before Biggie Smalls, the Ready to Die, before he made Juicy. Meanwhile, Mickey, yeah. He felt so dynamic that M-I-C-K, the first four letters of his name, became part of his name, Dynamic, like Dynamic Thunder, dynamic, just dynamic. And Willie, he had an idea. I mean, he didn't know what to think at first, but for his first attempt for a name to make him sound cool, let's just say he went with Willie XP. Willie XP as in, now remember, his real name is William Xavier Pringle, but Willie XP, what does XP stand for? Extra power. And his other friends are like, Willie XP, extra power? You gotta be joking. No, I'm serious. I mean, think about it. That name alone is like a double entendre. What do you mean by that? Willie XP, like WXP, that is like the initials of my name. And XP, I thought it give me extra power. So I thought it would sound cool. And you know what? They looked at each other, then it's like, I kind of like that sound. Willie XP, I like it. But what we gonna call ourselves? Well, they thought they were gonna call themselves the Little Pistons, but nah, they're not trying to fall for that copyright stuff. I mean, this is way before copyright became an issue. I mean, the Detroit Pistons called themselves the bad boys of NBA. So if they weren't gonna fit with the Little Pistons, then what else were they gonna call themselves? Well, since they're all from Michigan, they probably might be considered their very own, Michigan's very own. I can see it now. But who came up with that name? Willie did. First, he came up with a name for himself, Willie XP, but instead, he came up with the band name. But instead of calling themselves Michigan's very own, he called it M.V.O for short. And they dug it. But still, afterwards, they decided to come up with a way to make beats. So, with all that being said, Willie had the right to come up with more money. I mean, if you recall, he paid for an NBA jersey, he paid for some fresh gear like tennis shoes, nice clothing like a new suit for church, as well as school supplies, and also I remember, if you recall, he was serious about his life. He was down with the music sound, so he had enough money to buy himself an SP 1200. I don't know, but it's kind of like he brought a drum pad to make beats, and even the sample like blended, and it became a thing that the 14-year-old Willie XP, the genius, decided to come up with a funky sound for his friends, who are now known as M.V.O. And they became a rap group. But Willie also made sure that since they're all Christians, they will have to one stay focused on what they talk about. I mean, be authentic, have their sound, make sure that everybody can vibe to it. And two, they have to take turns. There's no I in team, there's no I in band. So everybody share a piece. But since Willie was a mastermind and he had a drum pad, he probably become a somewhat DJ / producer, since he makes the beats. And Mickey, he had an idea to get some clear mixtapes, like cassettes, and record mixtapes. And not to mention, Chiron, he had some microphones, so they had some good gear, and they had a hangout, and they make music. So 1991, that's when they debuted. Like one year after freshman year was over, summer 1991, M.V.O, Michigan's very own, started to make a rap sound. They started making beats and freestyle over it. Meanwhile, Willie XP made mixtapes on his own. Not to mention, he put his own band of friends on the mixtape. And the debut mixtape that he made was called Standing Out. Standing Out was a debut underground mixtape that Willie XP made, and he was jamming. Now, remember, his parents were strict about him based on the rules they set. As long as he's under his roof, there will be no cussing. So he figured if he's gonna do a little mix up, like play some songs that had a little cursing on it, especially when it's the radio version, like the D word as in damnation, the H word as in hell, and all that, he decided to have a little trick up the sleeve. He reversed or mute or put the censor sound, the beep sound, to cover up the foul language. But he can't use that a lot, because he actually blended the hit single, the song that was playing on the radio, with the instrumental. That way it makes it smoother. Like, you can still hear the beat, but you don't hear the cursing as much. And not to mention, ever since the so-called parental advisory logo, the explicit lyrics logo, started to rear its ugly head. But I'm gonna tell you like this: I love explicit lyrics more than I enjoy the explicit content. Even when you make the current parental advisory explicit content logo the old school logo, it still look good, but explicit lyrics looks awesome. Lyrics, I like lyrics instead of content, because explicit content is boring. But he knew that in order to trick the audience, he had to put the words "you wish," and he had it in a apostrophe. I mean, put the not apostrophe, I mean parentheses. Parental advisory. You wish, as in, you think we're gonna cuss? Not in my watch. Shout out to Dikembe Mutombo. Not in my house. So, Willie XP made his debut underground mixtape called Standing Out in 1991. And everybody in high school started to bump it. Like, some thought it was mediocre. The others thought it was like, it needs some little tune-up. But it's his first time. So, Willie XP and M.V.O, they were actually getting on top of things. But when they But when the whole school heard of M.V.O.'s first raps that they made, even though Willie, he was kind of like, he's not the hype man, but he was outspoken when it comes to the music. He was silent like Terminator X, but he talks with his hands when he hits the drum pads and blending good R&B and hip hop and back in the New Jack Swing era. I mean, it was a good start. So, 91, the high school gave M.V.O. some recognition. 92, Willie went another route, but instead, since it was summer of 1992 and they heard about the Rodney King South Central Los Angeles riots, they decided to wear red and blue. Chronic did most of the speaking for the intro, while Slumberjack did the outro for Willie's next mixtape called The Peace Treaty 92, because it was released in 1992. Summer 92, and let's just say that his parents started to question him based on the album and why would you play this? I mean, explain this parental advisory thing. What do you mean by you wish? Oh, well, since I'm under your roof, I'm not cursing. So the you wish is like, you wish you gonna hear cursing? Well, not on my watch. So I'm trying to do y'all a favor and try to keep God first. And yes, there was one skit in the mixtape when Dynamic he made a song based on a rap. I mean, based on a prayer. And he said, and the song was called "If a Prayer Doesn't Matter, How We Gonna Survive?" Now that was deep. And actually it became a big hit, a big underground hit from a high school quartet called M.V.O. If a prayer doesn't matter, how do we survive? Based on a freestyle over Mind Playing Tricks on Me by the Ghetto Boys. And that Dynamic was very blown away because of that song. Slumberjack felt like he wanted to break down and cry. Willie XP was like, oh yeah, this is it. Everybody loved that song, If a Prayer Doesn't Matter, How Can We Survive? But in 1993, their success started growing and growing and growing to the fact that Willie, he had a little trick up his sleeve. Now, for those that remember the album Ready to Die, like from the Notorious B.I.G., you could see in the back of the album, Biggie was like this. Because we all knew that Notorious B.I.G. was cockeyed a little bit. But Willie did that pose first. He did the pose first, and it was off the chain. And he even blended more R&B and hip hop and put M.V.O. on the map to the fact that Willie got himself a first girlfriend. But their relationship didn't last long because they had like a different path after high school. They dated for 2 years, and this is like before senior year started, because it was the summer of 93. Summer 93, the Ready to Groove mixtape, it started selling more and more to the fact that the underground loved the sound of Willie XP's music. I mean, he blended the Fu-Schnickens, A Tribe Called Quest, Shaquille O'Neal, Souls of Mischief, to name a few, with a little bit of SWV, Escape just kicking it came out in August. Their album came out in November. Dang. Oh, he blended some R. Kelly, but when it comes to sexual, he had to make sure to switch it up a bit. Like, for instance, he made sure to keep his parents seriously happy for him that he's following the rules. But there was one time that some guys that they became like rivals of M.V.O. and they made a song called FMVO, but they cursed. Explicit lyrics. How is M.V.O. going to survive this one? Somebody else was mad as if Willie XP, K. Ronick, Slumberjack, and Dynamic took their shine. What was the name of that band? M.V.O. None of your business. That was the name of the band, and they were from the main city, Detroit. They think that the M.V.O. crew was peeing on their shine. Dude, they don't even know. And not to mention, Willie XP, he actually got on the mic for the first time. And he made a response track and speaking out for himself and M.V.O. based on the track that was explicitly referring to Violent by Tupac. Violent. So he actually looped Tupac's Violent, the boom 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 boom, and he had to use a snare, 808 beats. Like, he went hard with it, and this song sounds so good that the low riders with the 6.4s and hydraulics and the box caddies and the box Chevys, they were riding in the hood, bumping that with 808 bass, subwoofer put high, and everybody bumping this on Friday night. Even the Bloods and Crips were bumping that track. Like, ooh, this is some good stuff. Because this song actually went worldwide. The Reply. But a rap done by Willie XP, William Pringle himself. But it was called 17 Reasons Why ... And he broke down 17 reasons as if he was breaking down the 10 Commandments. But he mentioned God in the song, but that was not it. He also called out the band, like, you gonna call our names, well, we gonna call you back. Cause guess what? Your diss track is super whack. Why the heck we wanna diss me over us peeing our shine? We never. Wait a minute. It's hard to come up with something. But he knew that NYOB. Who would have thought that NYOB crossed the line? You did this for the millionth time. Sunshine, about to make you go blind. We're not gonna let you get away with this because guess what? Class dismissed. And when he said that and ended with a gunshot or an explosion, everybody in school, as a matter of fact, the whole city was like, dang. But dig this. At graduation, at Willie's high school graduation, class of 1994, his band actually went double platinum. No, let me rephrase that. Platinum for that diss track, the response. And NYOB was like, oh heck, they went platinum? Yeah, but at the same time, Willie XP, the M.V.O., Michigan's very own, the entire high school, they were digging all of the production, the music production, that even everybody in the neighborhood wanted to hear a little bit more from Willie XP. And he gave it all that he got throughout his high school journey, from teenage years to being a grown man, a young man. But dig this, he made it happen. He made it happen. More funk, more New Jack Swing, more hip hop, more R&B, more freestyles from his band M.V.O. And yes, the next album he made was No False Moves. No False Moves. which included the Willie XP track 17 Reasons Why. And because of that album, that mixtape, the mixtape actually went gold. It went gold, but then in 1997 it went double platinum. You went from gold to platinum to double platinum. Like it was high off charts, and M.V.O was happy for that. But unfortunately, after graduation, things started to turn sour based on the fact that they have to move on. Chronic, he went to California, UCLA. Slumberjack, he went to Duke University. And for Willie XP and Dynamic, they had to part ways, but they were still going to get in contact. Now, Mickey went to the Army, to the Air Force. And Willie XP, Willie, I think he went to the Army. They moved on. And of course, Willie XP continued to make his mother and father proud of him for keeping his grades up, staying conscious with the Lord, even though he had inner demons every now and then. He had to face the consequences. And for that, Willie XP, Willie Pringle, thank you for your service. But anyway, while he was serving his time with the Army, he made sure when he has free time to make another album. Because in 1995, while he was in line of duty, in Call of Duty, he made war stories for the veterans. And it actually hit the radio stations, but he was overseas at the time. Willie was. But in 1996, he made his sixth and final mixtape. He never made an album. M.V.O was far from over. But they had to break up for college futures. All the future references. 96 wishes and a whack song ain't one, and a bad song ain't one. That's what he called his sixth and final mixtape. And yes, Willie actually made it known, even though he had to put Boyz II Men's It's So Hard to Say Goodbye Yesterday and talk over it. Like he wanted to thank God, he wanted to thank his mom and dad, he wanted to thank his high school, his rivals NYOB, his fellow M.V.O members, as well as the individuals that he was in the Army with. But after dealing with Army, he was recently discharged, and he had a life on his own to think about. And that's when he started to find himself a first wife. And even though things went topsy-turvy, he made sure that he was there for his children, and be serious about his lifetime. I mean, in Michigan, he was a legend, an underground legend. Michigan's very own, Willie XP, Extra Power. But in 96, speaking of which, M.V.O, Willie XP came up with an idea to come up with a greatest hits album from his band, Michigan's very own M.V.O, and he called it Class 6, CLASS number 6. Made me think of the movie Girl 6, starring Teresa Randall and Spike Lee. But we know Class 6 mean classics. I'm trying to give it some street cred. And everybody from Michigan fell in love with that. That album, that greatest hits album actually went gold. And his greatest hits album was released in 1997. called Michigan's Very Own, 1991 through 1996. Everybody fell in love with Willie Pringle's greatest hits album, as well as his underground hip hop albums and mixtapes that he made, even with the so-called parental advisory "You Wish" logo. Because he kept it clean, he kept it funky, he kept it smooth, kept it real, because some songs, it made everybody want to cry. It actually went #1 on Billboard, which is shocking. William Xavier Pringle never been on the Billboard since the day he started doing beats with a beat machine, a beat pad, a drum pad. Unbelievable, right? Yes. But dig this. This is his moment. So Willie, before he became a full-fledged Christian, tried to turn his life around for good. He was a die-hard hip-hop fan. He put hip-hop on the line. He put his friends on the line. He came up with a band name. He came up with gold and platinum hits. Like, good work, good skills, but he had to give it up. I mean, everybody couldn't blame Willie for changing his life, because after being discharged from the army, he had to move on. A father figure, a husband for the first time. This was a challenge. But everybody can't be down with the hip-hop sound forever. You gotta have a real job, a real purpose. And with that being said, Willie XP, he made it big. And this is a prequel, because there will be more problems to face, but he can handle them. Willie. But will he? Will he handle the problems? Find out in part 2. Especially when it comes to Betrayal. Now, this is just a prequel. Like, who was Willie Pringle before the real story begins? Like, humble beginnings. And with all that being said, if you like part 1, the prequel, feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Click the notification, and there'll be the notification bell, and there'll be more in stores. So that way you can keep up with my videos that I put, my content on YouTube. Whether Cold Man's Winter, whether rapping, whether singing, even the whole 9 yards. Even the back to school PSAs. And like I said, the last episode of Cold Man's Winter will be in the description bar down below. So feel free to check all that out and stay tuned for part 2. That's where the problems begins to rear its ugly head. With all that being said, this is yours truly, Taylor Jones, signing out. And William XP Pringle. Willie XP Pringle. I got nothing but mad love for you, because this is a real deal. So, until then, stay tuned for part 2, and you'll be surprised where I'm going with this. Until then, peace out, ladies and gentlemen, and it don't stop.
Hey, DJ! Yo, what's up? Hit it! Michigan's very own M.V.O. Kick it! Willie XP, K-Ronic, Slumberjack, Dynamic, M.V.O, Michigan's very own Willie XP, K-Ronic, Slumberjack, Dynamic, Michigan's very own M.V.O, Michigan's very own Michigan's very own M.V.O, Michigan's very own